Hi, and welcome to Gettable Grammar. This video is about two very commonly confused figures of speech, similes and metaphors. The learning intention for today is to understand the difference between similes and metaphors and how they're used to make writing more interesting. You know that you've succeeded at this when you can correctly identify and distinguish between similes and metaphors and use them in your own writing. Now, why do you need this? Similes and metaphors are used to make writing more interesting. Specifically, they're used in descriptive writing. Making your writing more descriptive and interesting is what English is all about. After all, why just write something when you can write it well? To start off, let's go through some definitions. Similes and metaphors are techniques used in writing to describe things. They're so popular because they create mental pictures. This makes reading and listening easier because rather than form words to process in our brains, we see images and scenes. We can get a much better idea of something if we can picture it. So using these techniques makes your writing much more engaging for your reader. Similes compare two different things by saying one thing is like the other. This is done by using the words like or as. For example, he was as fast as a sports car. Here, we don't need to explain that he's really fast, because we picture a sports car which we know is really fast. Note the use of the word as in this simile. Another example of a simile is his hair was spiky like the top of a pineapple. We automatically picture the top of a pineapple here and apply that to what his hair must look like. Note the use of the word like in this simile. What simile can you think of to describe how sweet this lady smells? Metaphors are similar to similes in that they compare two different things, but rather than use the words like or as, metaphors simply say one thing is the other. One common metaphor is time is money. The point here is that time is extremely valuable. We know that money is valuable, so by saying that time is money, it takes on the characteristics of money, which we know is valuable. Another common metaphor is your brain is a computer. People use this metaphor when explaining how information is stored and how connections are made in the brain. By saying your brain is a computer, the brain takes on the functions that a computer has. This makes it easy for the reader to understand how the brain works. Metaphors can also be used without saying something is another thing, but rather implying it. This might sound complicated, but you probably encounter these metaphors everywhere without even realizing it. For example, we often hear people say that it's raining cats and dogs outside. We don't literally mean that there are cats and dogs falling from the sky, but that it is raining heavily. Here, the raindrops are so large they seem like small animals rather than water droplets. The water droplets take on the qualities of cats and dogs. In this case, we're talking about their size. When someone says there's an elephant in the room, they don't mean there is literally an elephant, but that there is an issue or a secret that's so big it seems to be taking up all of the space in the room. Its weight presses in on everyone. Now it's your turn. Shakespeare famously said that the world was a stage and that men and women were merely players. What do you think he meant by this metaphor? As you can see from these examples, similes and metaphors are everywhere. They evoke images by comparing things, and by doing this in your own writing, you will make it much more engaging and interesting for your reader. Thank you, and see you next time for Gettable Grammar.